Don't call me Superman if you haven't found my kryptonite.
What is going on YouTube? It is the BK Cubs 360 here, and it appears that my country, Australia, has a problem. Now, of course, if you're watching this, chances are you have not seen my channel before. You haven't really seen this gameplay, so it's a bit random to you. So just sit back, relax, and just listen to me talk about this rather controversial law that was just passed in the Senate last night. Talk about AIDS. So pretty much, to give you guys a background, a bit of backdrop, for more than a year now, the Senate and the Parliament House, the House of Representatives, the lower and the upper house, they've been debating how to combat piracy, because as you guys know, piracy is an issue in Australia just like it is anywhere else in the world. However, you know, the fucking Abbott government and all that shit, the Liberals, the Labour, the Greens, they've all been debating, you know, what should we do? What is the best outcome? What would be the best bill to put forth to Parliament to ensure that we reduce piracy? Well, look, this was their answer. So pretty much, as you guys know, Abbott government holds power in the House. The coalition has a majority in the House, so it wasn't really an issue passing this law through the House of Representatives. And of course, this law is pretty much, look, we're going to give, not ISPs, but we're going to give rights holders the right. We're going to give them the ability to go to the federal court and demand that particular websites which may have the purpose of sharing illegal content be blocked by ISPs. So essentially, Sony, for example, can go to the main court, and if they can prove that the Pirate Bay, for example, has a main purpose or was set up specifically with sharing illegal content, then if the federal court agrees with them, all ISPs in Australia have to, repeat, they have to block that website from you know, their consumers, from their customers. So of course, as you guys may be thinking, the ISPs aren't very happy with this, because obviously they don't want someone else limiting what their consumers or customers can access, because that is not what the internet is about, man. We don't want blockage of particular things. It's a bad, man. It's bad. Now, of course, before you go off at me, yes, I will admit that of course there are certain websites like the Pirate Bay and, you know, Kick-Ass Torrents and torrents as a whole. They are sites that share and host, or I wouldn't say host, because even that's a whole other issue in itself with peer-to-peer, but they link you essentially to illegal content. But look, you can't forget that you can get a lot of legitimate content off of Pirate Bay, off of Kick-Ass Torrents. And look, that's something I do. I mean, say there's a song on SoundCloud. Look, the song is free, but for example, you have to share it on Facebook, you have to share it on Twitter, or something like that. Look, if it's fucking on Pirate Bay or whatever, I'm just gonna get it off there, because it's just easy for me. Some people don't want to set up a Twitter or like a Facebook or whatever. It's just an easier way. It's not like that particular song was it cost them an amount of money. You know what I mean? Like, that's one scenario, but there's many others. But look, I'm gonna get to the point, cut the BS out. So pretty much, yeah, last night the Senate passed it. I think the vote was what, 37 to 13, I believe. So pretty much the Australian Greens, the Greens Party, as you guys can probably tell by the name, you know, the environmental boys, them, the entire party, as well as a few of the independent senators, all rejected this bill. But of course, that paled in comparison to the fucking coalition and probably a bit of Labour guys as well, who agreed with this bill. And then look, it just highlights like how out of touch our senators are with current technology. Look, bet you fucking half the guys that were voting on this didn't even know what they were voting for. They didn't really know the true implications, because look, the legislation itself doesn't really define what is a main purpose of sharing illegal content. Now, look, the standard, I wouldn't say the standard of proof, but say Sony wants to take this to court, they need to prove that, as I said before, that a specific website has the main purpose of sharing illegal content. However, the legislation in particular does not define what is a main purpose. How do you put that into legislation? How do you actually define that? What is the line? How do you draw this black line on the floor? No one really knows. I mean, look, I'll try get into. I'm not gonna try get into the specifics of this legislation. Screw it. I'm getting into the specifics. Look, this is quote straight out of the Copyright Amendment Online Infringement Bill 2015. If you do legal studies in high school, you do law, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So this is quote straight out of the legislation, straight out of the bill. The provision would only capture online locations that have the primary purpose of infringing copyright or facilitating the infringement of copyright. This excludes online locations that are mainly operated for a legitimate purpose but may contain a small percentage of infringing content. Now, of course, the bill goes on to say that the court is going to have to consider, the proportion of legitimate content to illegal content, the impact that the disabling of this website would have on the Australian community. Look, how do you define that? How do you define what makes it the primary purpose? What is the percentage? This law is not very well drafted because there's no specifics. It's so broad, so vague. How do you define a primary purpose? How much of the content on that website has to be illegal? Because I highly doubt that the Federal Court of Australia is literally going to go and count the percentage of legitimate content on, say, the Pirate Bay to illegitimate content, sorry. Look, the content on Pirate Bay, half the time, it's not even on Pirate Bay, it's peer-to-peer, it's P2P. So, the content isn't actually on the Pirate Bay. The Pirate Bay kind of does like a linking system. So, even that, this is going to be pretty hard, man. It's going to be quite hard. And it's not like a say mega.co.nz that got taken down where it's the site hosting the content. This is people's computers around the world hosting this content. And when I say content, I'm obviously talking about torrents. So that is a very, very fatal flaw with this bill. It's just not specific enough at all. You're giving content rights holders too much power. We're like, okay, look, I don't like kick-ass torrents, I don't like this website, fucking block it. And the ISPs can't do anything. And they just don't like that. Now, of course, you might be thinking, look, Cobbs, bro, I'll just hit up a VPN and I'll be all good and I'll be all good. I'll be the best, whatever. Well, apparently, this bill is also targeting people that use VPNs in that, you're not going to be exempted from this law just because you're using a VPN, man. So I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how they're going to target VPN users because that's going to be much easier said than done. But look, I'm not going to get into that. And just as a whole, this law is AIDS. This is just, I don't know what to say, man. So look, guys, comment down below. Tell me what you think. And it's been a dark day in fucking Australia in terms of the internet. I mean, we have slow internet already. The Abbott government screwed up with the NBN by fucking changing the NBN, the optical fiber cables, the optical fiber network system from fiber to the home to fiber to the node, where you hook it up to the exchange and it gets bottlenecked by copper anyway. Just stupidity, man. Stupidity. Thank you guys for watching. I'll fucking see you later.